So I just want to start by saying this is not a full review. I did end up refunding this game. There are more pros than cons, but for me the cons outweigh the pros of playing this game. Judging from the title or thumbnail, you can guess how this video is gonna go. I really don't like talking negatively about games. I prefer to make videos on things I actually enjoy. So then why am I making this? It's kind of a test. This is a Ubisoft game. And if there's the one thing I know about Ubisoft is that they support their games no matter what. They'll drop patch after patch and their games are completely different a year later from the state that they launched in. So I'm going to share my thoughts, and in a year or so from now I'm going to see how I feel about the game after they do the DLC updates and patches. Because as frustrated as I am, everything I'm about to say can be fixed with patches and updates. As for the positives, the car sounds and graphics are actually really, really good. Like, really good. The most enjoyable thing I've done is just drive and listen to the car because they sound that good. I'd put the car sounds above Need for Speed and a tad bit above Forza Horizon. In terms of the style and variety of the race events, I think it's similar to Forza, but Horizon 4 and 5 and the Crew 2 did the events in a way that was more streamlined, where this game does a series of different playlists for progression. The car list is a lot better than Crew 2. I like that they added a lot more GT3, F1, and circuit type cars. But yeah, that's it for the positives. So let's begin. I'm a huge racing game fan and car guy, and let me tell you, this is one of the worst racing games I've played in recent memory. This is not even close to the worst racing game I've ever played. I know how people misunderstand what you see on the internet, so you know what, let me rephrase that. In terms of bad racing games, this is the first one I've played in a while, but it's definitely not the worst. I've played Horizon 4 and 5 for many hours, and this is a carbon copy of the Forza Horizon series, which I'm not mad at. Forza is only on Xbox, so if Ubisoft could replicate that experience and deliver it to every other platform, that could be a huge win. Except I've never played a game that copied the original so closely visually and mechanically, and yet completely missed the mark on what made it fun. They fall down in the areas that matter the most, in my opinion. Let's start with the handling. Just so you know where my head is at, I play a lot of sim racing games. My preference is kind of in the middle, so I like simcade racers like Grid Legends and the Horizon series, but I lean more towards the sim side than the arcade. But I know not to expect that type of handling from an arcade racer. But even by arcade game standards, the handling physics are terrible. Compared to the Crew 2, the new Need for Speeds, or any modern arcade racer, the cars do not turn. It is so frustrating to put in full lock and the car just keeps going straight. Even the AI crashes into walls in my car while driving. I tried this game on my racing wheel and it sucked. I was disappointed, but I wasn't really surprised because arcade games aren't that great with racing wheels. But when I used my controller and it still handled poorly, I was shocked. Did they consult any non-casual racing game content creators to test this? I hated Need for Speed Payback's handling, but I managed to finish that game. The more I played this game, the more it pissed me off. Before anyone says, did you try the different steering settings? Yes, I tried all three. Not even the precise preset felt good. The handling flip-flops from understeer to oversteer. I even used the Pro Tune settings. The handling just doesn't feel good. Turning off traction and stability control is what made the cars feel tolerable and able to steer a bit better, because it just makes them all oversteer. And because I know they'll oversteer, I can drive a bit better because I can predict how the car will handle. When steering, I can just counter steer and manage my acceleration. But in the end, it's not fun having to tolerate driving physics when the main point of the game is driving. I don't want to fight my car every time a corner approaches. Now, I love F1 and GT3 cars. I like circuit racing games, so I was happy that they added them into the Crew 2, and I was happy to see they added more of them here. Yet, in this game, how do you make the grippiest cars known to man not be able to handle corners? I was seeing a lot of crashing when they were showing off gameplay and teasing this, and I thought the people they let record footage probably just couldn't drive that well, but no, it's because the handling is bad. They looked at Forza's map, saw a lot of high-speed corners and straights, copied that, yet the cars can't handle them because they don't turn. I thought the tire wear feature was cool from the teasers, But how is me simply driving in a straight line causing tire wear, when I can't even take corners at high speeds or hold a line in an F1 car because it doesn't turn? Again, I'm not expecting sim level mechanics here, but why add this feature if you're not going to do it properly? Taking corners more carefully doesn't seem to matter either when it comes to the tire wear. This just seems like something they added to get you to use the new pit stop feature. This is the first game I have ever had to turn off the audio for voices because the narrator talks non-stop. From the time you start the game, she's talking in cutscenes, as you're driving, in free roam, then the GPS talks, then the other characters are talking while you're driving. It's pretty fucking annoying. I've been playing racing games long enough, I don't really look at my speedometer, I just listen to the car so I know when to shift. But when the narrator talks, they turn down the audio of your car, which is all the time, and I kept missing for when to shift gears. I turned off the voice audio, still couldn't hear my car because the in-game music was blasting at a louder volume. I turned off the music volume, still couldn't hear my car because the volume of the vehicles around me are still louder than my own car. At this point, I'm like, fuck it, whatever, I'll just glance at the speedometer for when to shift, and guess what? Ubisoft likes to be special and different from everyone else. So they swap the place of the minimap and the speedometer. Every other game has the map on the left and the gear cluster on the right. And every time I, go to glance at the spot I'm familiar with to see what gear I'm in or my speed, I'm seeing the map. This may sound like a nitpick to you and not really relevant, but yeah, this is pretty annoying to me. The menu placement of the settings tab is under the abort race option. Every game has quit at the bottom, but they have it above the settings. And they don't even ask, are you sure, when you click abort. I've accidentally quit races a couple times, and that was like the final straw before I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I was just going back to settings constantly, trying to get the cars to handle better. I was messing with all different steering and stick dead zone settings throughout my playthrough, and hitting abort race when I meant to go to settings kind of just pushed me over the edge, and I uninstalled and refunded. But before that happened, let's talk about the other big problem. It is 2023 and the bullshit card system is back. Why? Everyone hated this. How did Need for Speed learn their lesson from trying this and didn't put it in their next 2 games, and yet Ubisoft decided to do this again? For what? Aside from the handling, this is the second biggest issue for me. One of the main joys of Forza is being able to buy cars, upgrade them, and try different performance setups and just have fun. It's really easy to do because, they give you money, for doing almost anything, and you can get parts pretty fast. But with the card system being back, it's kind of like an RPG. You have to grind races in hopes to get better brakes or better tires instead of just directly going to a shop and buying them and then upgrading to better versions when you get more money or you unlock them. Not to mention the money payouts are still pretty low, so I guess they want you to grind races or buy the currency. So the Ubisoft formula strikes again, unfortunately. The boats and planes fit in with the crew too, because the map was large and having many ways to get around was cool. Why are they back now if this is really a Forza clone, the smaller scale and more focused on cars and car culture? Why were they brought back? They should have removed them and focused more on the handling of the different types of cars rather than cars, planes, boats, and bikes. This game is like that saying, jack of all trades but master of none. Now the main attraction, there's playlists where you drive different cars, not your own. They give you these playlists at the start of the game. It's not like in the Crew 2 where you work your way up to those special playlist events. It felt like the car I chose, it was just used for driving from one event to the next. As you get money and buy cars, you unlock the different types of race disciplines, similar to Crew 2. I like the different style of playlists, but it kind of felt like I was doing races and crossing things off a checklist. I had no attachment to my car since I barely used it. I'm assuming when you buy your own cars and unlock the different race disciplines, then you'll race with the cars you own. Pretty much, I guess that's why they're selling the F1 cars and those higher tier, more expensive cars. But for the start of the game, I would have preferred to start racing with my own car and, upgrade and eventually hit a point where I unlocked all of those different playlists. So again, the progression didn't feel gradual, just more like I'm crossing things off a checklist. So for a Horizon competitor, it fails in terms of handling and the get cars quickly and upgrading them and, just having fun and driving around the map because they decided to go back to the card system. What it does have going for it is the variety of events, the car audio, the car list, and the customization. The map isn't that big, but the race routes are, they're pretty all over the place, so I'd say they use the map well. But like I said, those two cons of the handling and card system outweigh the pros. If the handling was fine, I'd still hate the card system, but I could deal with it, like I did in the Crew 2. But I am not playing a driving game where the driving is bad. I don't care how good everything else is. For the people who don't have Forza or never played it, I can say it's an okay Forza clone in terms of race variety and the visual presentation, but that's about it. Forza comparisons aside, looking at this as a standalone arcade racer, I don't like what I played. The card system is baked into the core of the game, so I don't think that can change, but they can fix everything I mentioned over time, and I think it'd be a cool arcade open world racer to play with friends. Needless to say, I'm obviously not going to be rebuying this anytime soon, so I'll see what this game looks like in a few months or a year from now. And if I feel any different about it, and when I make that update video. But for right now, I think this is very flawed. I'm really disappointed in this because I loved the Crew 2. I thought they would just pick up where that game left off, because right now in its current state, handling wise, it's fine. I thought they'd pick up from there and keep improving, but this feels like one step forward for graphics and car sounds, and 2 steps back in the handling and features and progression, and lots of little questionable decisions like not asking "are you sure" before letting someone hit the abort race button. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Crew Motorfest. If you played it, leave a comment below of what you think of it, whether you disagree with me and you love it, or you don't like it as well. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.